Welcome back to Guantanamo Bay, hope you're alive and well today. I saw Final Destination Bloodlines last night after rewatching the entire series and ended up ranking them in my previous video. I'll be revealing where this one ranks at the end of the video, but let's talk about this new entry after 14 years since the last one. It was weird to me because after the fifth one seemed to have wrapped things up really well with a great ending and even recapping all the movies in a montage form, I was fine with this franchise ending with it. When I heard they were going to be doing a new one, it gave me the same feeling when you're out at a restaurant having a good dinner, the waiter asks if you want dessert, and you aren't really full, so you shrug and say, yeah, why not? When we saw the trailer showing that this was revolving around an extended family this time, it was clear this one was going to be different and not the same formula of friends or colleagues or even strangers having to keep each other alive. I think this was a smart move, as with families, you do get to see more of a caring and raw side of characters when their guards are down initially. I am so happy to say that this movie was really fun. It is impressive how 6 entries in and they managed to make one of the best sequels, as with other franchises, it might be absolute death at this point. However, this one joins the side where the 6th entry is one of the best in the franchise. Absolute cinema for this franchise in the year of our Lord 2025. To start out, the Premonition in this one is very entertaining, and it does the job right of making sure we feel the tension of our main visionary leading up to the inevitable disaster. I love the setting, the set design, and even characters that appear in it, save for a certain young man. I feel bad for anyone in Seattle that's going on a trip to the Space Needle right now. I feel pretty good that I went 2 years ago because they do have glass floors in there that revolve. I'm curious to see if the tourism numbers drop after this weekend, but we'll see. Anyways, this one's an absolute blast with a good mix of bloody, mushy deaths and practical effects. Honestly, if this movie chose to follow the same formula following Iris and her husband after this disaster stopped, I would have been satisfied with that. That's how great this opening was. That isn't to say that following the descendants of Iris is disappointing, as all these characters are people to root for. I know most people think as long as there's good deaths in the movie's automatically good. However, this franchise works best when we have actual characters to root for. That's part of the reason why I don't like rewatching some entries even if one of them has the best deaths in the franchise. I don't know about y'all, but when there is an innocent or kind character that has to face death's wrath, I think that makes him more tense, stomach churning, and, horrific. The family dynamic really works as I'd hope it would, as the vast majority of these characters don't feel one-dimensional thanks to that. If I had to pick a favorite, it would definitely be Eric. He did remind me of that goth kid from Final Destination 3 that I really wasn't the biggest fan of, but you can tell that he really does care about his family. He has a nice mix of funny lines and attitude towards the concept of death coming after the family. Even though I prioritize characters and kills the same in horror, I know some only care about how good the kills are, and in this one, it definitely has contenders for being the best deaths in the series. There are some scenarios and settings that are absolutely perfect for this type of movie, and they utilize it to its full potential. What I appreciate about this movie is that it balances comedic moments and the horrifying deaths well, letting them know when to clearly shine rather than interfere with each other. Even though this movie is now the longest one in the franchise, I wouldn't have minded if it had gone on to the 2-hour mark, as there was a good amount here to keep me entertained. Even though this movie probably had the biggest gaps between kills, there was enough going on to be interested pretty much the entire way through. The playful foreshadowing of how characters are going to die are still present, and Bloodlines has several nods to all the ones that came before it, which made it rewarding to do a rewatch of this franchise. That's not to say that you will have to watch all of them before going to the theaters to see this one, but it would make this one more enjoyable if you did. I was happy to see that some roles came back into Bloodlines that I wanted to see again, coming from our favorite mortician, Bloodworth, played by the late Tony Todd, in his final role. We get more from this character than we ever have before, and his speech here is both fearful and emotional. It was genuinely a perfect moment, and it's great that we got a send-off for this character and this actor playing him in this movie. If they do more movies after this one, he will be sorely missed. He was such a fun, ominous part of all these movies. For the first 2/3 of this movie, I was having a blast, and it was not disappointing. However, the last 20 or so minutes of this movie really could have been better. I don't know what it is with this franchise, but it seems to have a curse of not being able to have great endings, save for one golden child. Without going into spoilers, it feels like it's rushing itself after leaving a certain setting, and what happens afterwards is not as interesting or unpredictable as everything that came before it. The characters' motives aren't really the issue here, as they make sense with what they were given, but the execution is not really fleshed out, if you know what I'm saying. While there was a fair amount of kills, even in the Premonition, that used CGI to pull off fast deaths, the ones that were overbearing in the beginning actually made for some comedic kills that were intended to be laughed at. But towards the end, it felt too cartoonish when the tone suggested we should be fearing for some character safety. We know how these movies usually end, and if you have watched any entry, you know what to expect. However, 6 movies in, and after a 14-year hiatus, I was hoping we would have found a way to make a truly haunting and clever ending by finding a way to spice things up rather than what we got. It's not the worst third act in the franchise, that one's locked down by a certain entry and probably will be till the end of time. I just think it could have been a lot better. A part of me is wondering if there were reshoots that happened, as it seemed like there were objects hinted at being significant in someone's death that never came to fruition. It's a big shame when these movies start out so strong and most of the time fizzle out. Now, since the franchise is going to get new entries, I'm having that dessert feeling again. I really want an entry that ends as exciting as it started. I don't know if it'll happen, but if it can be on the same level at least 5 was to me, I would be over the moon for it. I believe someone can pull it off if they really try. Please. Please, just please. Overall though, this is a solid entry in the franchise, one I'm going to be happy to revisit. Even having the pressures of a 14-year wait for it, Bloodlines proves that there is still a lot of potential for this franchise and can be delivered on a grander scale rather than following the formula laid out for it. It honors the legacy of the franchise with several nods to other entries while doing its own thing. While I wish it ended as strong as it started, I am looking forward to what comes next for Final Destination. As for where I'm rating this, I'd safely place it between 2 and 1, making it the third best overall in the series to me. Who knows, maybe we'll go up on a rewatch just like all these lovely souls did after their death. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know where you'd rank Bloodlines or what you thought about it down below. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, ring that bell as well, and watch out for any pennies in places they shouldn't be. Those pennies should be going towards my PayPal account as a generous donation, which you can find the link to in the description below. Once again, we thank you for spending part of your day here at Guantanamo Bay.